Hi, this is Melinda from Melinda Designs. Today we'll be making this really cute pair of earrings. It's a wire wrapped beaded earring with a little messy wrapped drop bead. So to get started, we'll be using a 3.5 inch 12 gauge piece of wire, and what we're going to do is hammer one side flat. I'm using a planishing hammer, but you could use a chasing hammer just as easily. And what I'm trying to do is flatten it enough so that I can put a 1.5 millimeter hole into it. And that hole I'm going to put about 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters away from the end. And then we'll do the other side. And then at this point, if you feel any burrs, you can use your file, pull those off, and you could shape your edges if you like. It's to me, it's not that big of an issue. I had cut them flush when I had cut the wire, so they actually hammer out real nice and even. Okay, so at this point, what we're going to do is this piece has a little loop down at the base, so we're going to pull the wire around. We want these to pull across evenly so that they're the same length on both sides. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Now we're going to take our flat pliers and I'm just going to squeeze that together a little bit. So it's just a small hole there. And at this point, we'll take the multi-tiered ring pliers, and I'm going to just start right, maybe 4 or 5 centimeters or 4 or 5 millimeters from the edge, just below the hole. We're going to roll that around, and we'll do the same this side. Okay, now so it's kind of close together. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to pull that out. And I actually have the other one done. Measure that up. It's a perfect match. Then I'm going to take my hammer again and just flatten this loop a little bit. And I'll take my flat nose pliers, and what I'll do is put the end just below the hole. I'm going to bend that up just a little bit. Not quite 90 degrees, but just it's more of an upright look because we're going to attach the ear wire into there. Okay, so 20 gauge wire. I've already, actually before I do that, real quick, I'm going to darken. I want to oxidize this piece to match my wire that I have already oxidized. And normally I use my my patina gel, but today I'm using just a cold patina that I use on occasion. So dip that in water after you're done. When it's got to the color that you like, take a little steel wool, clean that up just a little bit. I don't want it all off, I just want to have like sort of a nice antique look. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our 20 gauge wire. I have about 2.5, about 2 feet, somewhere in that capacity. And I'm going to start on one end, and I'm going to wrap around twice. Take my pliers, squeeze that in so it's a nice tight fit, and just roll that other straggler end in. Okay, so we've got that wrapped around twice. I'm going to pull that straight up from the edge. You can see. First I'll start with my purple bead. And the only thing you might want to do before you decide what wire you're going to use, make sure that the wire will go through the hole in your bead. These are actually a little bit larger hole beads, so I know I'm going to be okay. Okay, so I'm just going to put the bead on the wire and then tightly wrap twice around. And then you're going to end up straight up and down again. And we're going to go again with purple bead. Same thing. I'm just going to bring that bead all the way right down to the outside edge, and then we're going to roll that around, because as you roll that around it's going to pull the bead towards the center. I'm going to wrap twice again. Okay, now I'm just following the pattern on this one, and next is a blue bead, so we'll put our blue bead on, and we're just going to continue that pattern that we made on the last earring, on the other earring. Wrap twice, and we're going back to a pink bead. Okay, we'll just show you up close. We have our bead right up to the edge, and I like to just hold that down with my finger and take the end of the wire and wrap, and then pull it a little bit. It'll pull that sort of down a little bit. Wrap twice. And next, and the last bead for this side will be our white bead. This is a nice little pair for summer, spring, summer. It's bright and cheery and incorporates a few different fun colors. Okay, we got our white bead on, same thing. It's a little smaller than the other ones, but that's okay. We're just going to try to make that bead upright so it sits top to bottom, not whole sitting on top. Okay, then we wrapped twice, and there's a little more space, so I'm just going to wrap twice more. Squeeze those together, and then I'm going to just wrap it and jump over to the other side, and then wrap it twice, and we'll start again, and we'll just follow the pattern. The next one is another white bead. And we're just still going the same direction. Everything's working the same. So we're going to put a little white bead in there, wrap twice, and then we're going to pink. Or purple. Pink purple. It's kind of both. Lavender. That on there, wrap twice. And we'll do one more lavender. Wrap twice, and a blue, wrap twice, and then the last one will be pink, purple, lavender. Okay, so anyway, got that last one on there, double wrap. And I'm actually just going to wrap a couple more times just to fill in some of that extra space we have there. But that's going to look just like the piece we just made. Okay, so from here we wrapped it a couple extra times. We're going to cut that wire just enough so it rolls to the back side of the big 12 gauge wire. And we're going to take our bent nose pliers and just pull that around and squeeze it real good, nice and tight, and that'll stop it from unraveling. Okay, so there's our base. At this point we're going to start with our little drop, and the first thing we're going to do is make an open loop that's not completed yet. You can see that, and we're going to put that through the base loop of the earring, and now we're going to close that off. Okay, trim that, squeeze that end in. Okay, then we're going to put through, this is a side-to-side drop bead, and we're just going to put that through, and the big thing is just to try to even the bend up. So I like to give it a little bit of space so that the top has some room to get to the middle, which is perfect right there. And then we'll bend that end up. And from there, I'm just going to wrap. I'm going to wrap up to the top loop, And then I'm going to work my way down. And with my work, I like to be messy. Sometimes I do nice, neat wrapping. Like here, I actually did pretty neat wrapping. But down here, I enjoyed seeing it messy. You know, the big chunky messiness of it. So right now I'm going to wrap tightly and nice, just to make sure I get everything covered. Now I'm going to start messing up. I'm going to go back, kind of up a little bit. I'm going to go back up towards the top, fill in some of that space, and then I'll work my way back down. And kind of overlapping in odd ways. And tuck that last little piece up under, and there we have our messy drop bead. That looks pretty good. Okay, the last part of this is pretty simple. We're going to take my 3-ball ear wire. These are just awesome. They work with so many different styles of earrings that I make. I never run out of ways to use them. So we're going to take the 3-tier ring pliers, and we're going to the largest size of there. First I'm starting at the smaller one just to get it open. Then I'm going to pop that right in there. And I'm just going to start on one end and pull this around so that I can form that in a nice even round form, just making it a bit bigger. I'm going to set this down here, and it looks pretty good for a fit. I think maybe just a hair wider. Okay, and then what I like to do is take my pliers, and on the ear wire end, I'm going to fold that at a 90-degree angle. Alright, we're going to open the loop of the ear wire. Figure out what side's the front of the double bead is the front. So we're going to put this in there. We're going to close that loop. Not tight, just closing the top so it won't pop off. It still has a lot of nice give. Okay? And then at this point, what I'll do, I could have done this before I put it on. I'm going to take my rubber mallet and I'm just going to tap the ear wire because I want it to be nice and firm and springy, so that once it gets into this little hole to complete the ear wire, that it's tight and it won't come off unless you actually make that happen. If it gets too thin, like right now it's starting to be a little thin, I think I'm just going to pull that apart a little further and tap it a couple more times. And the rubber won't change the shape of the wire, so it'll be a nice fit. So there, that's it. This is your finished summer earrings, wire wrapped, from my friend Mary, who asked me how to do this. She misses me and wishes I were teaching classes again, so I thought what could be better than to do a little online class for her. So here you go, Mary. Have fun. If you have any questions, message me. Have a great day.